Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Bluegrass Dreams to Seams. My name is Cheryl, and today we're going to be talking about my sample garment for a pattern company I can't recall ever using. I know I've looked at their patterns, and I know I've bought a few, but I don't have many of this in my pattern stack. Katinka, the seamstress in the cottage, she's just lovely. If you've not watched her, go jump over and watch Seamstress in the Cottage. She is a very accomplished seamstress. She learned from her grandmother, I do believe. She sent me this pattern, this new look pattern right here, S0868, and I made this view right here. That's the one I chose. I decided after looking at that thing all summer. I mean, I had this pattern just laying out because I knew if I didn't have it laying out, I'd forget about it and never make it. And I thought, okay, let's pull something to make this top. I just want to make a sample garment to get a feel of how this pattern company fits me. I know about Vogue and Simplicity and Butterick McCall's. I know about those. But all the others that just kind of pop up um, within certain companies, I'm not that certain of. So I needed to make a sample garment. I prefer to use a fabric that's either thrifted, given to me. I don't have much of it. I um, spent very little money on it because it was, extreme discounted just to get rid of what was left. This, I think I thrifted from my mother's stash. I'm pretty sure. And there was exactly enough to cut this top. Exactly enough. Now I have enough to make the one alteration I need to make on the sleeves. I can fix my issue there. But I don't know that I could really do anything about the other issue. So we'll talk about the two issues here in just a minute. The pattern is rated easy. Yes, it's easy. There's not a lot of pieces. There's some skill that might be involved, but it's not that you couldn't pick that up. But the one that I think would be the most challenging would be this neckline. This coming to the dot thing. This opening usually would have been down here. I mean, you can see just my finger pointing where that lands. And I raised it an inch, and it's still not really high enough. I think the next garment will be like this. This, I think, is a little bit harder skill than somebody who's just learning to sew. So maybe after they've got a little bit under the belt and feel like I'm ready for the next step, that'd be like next step up. I have a problem with it, and I've been sewing for over 50 years. I would just as soon find a different way to change this up than to do it. But I thought, no, I managed to do that dress and that top with a more squarish where you sew across here, meeting two dots. So, I did it in steps of 3. Um, Approach this the same way. Break it down into 3 steps. So I did around the neckline and then from the top to the dot, top to the dot. The 3 steps. Of course, when I flipped it, I could see there was issues just down here at the bottom. And so I ripped it out about an inch on each side and tried again. And it was a little closer. I had one little tiny place. And when I took care of that, it was perfect. So 3 steps works for me. Break it down into steps and magic can happen. Instead of doing it as a whole, break it down. All right, so I solved that problem. I do kind of like this button detail. I think that's kind of neat. You make a little loop, and I like that about this. The sleeves went in with no problem, but I do have a problem with the sleeves. For one thing, they're too short. Now, I have not run into this problem in years, and I'm like, what? I mean, it's been since the early 70s since I've had to lengthen any sleeves. If it was anything 1975 and on, not a problem. The sleeves are the correct length for me. I found out that I'm actually not the norm. The norm, a bit of trivia for you, is that your arm span from fingertip to fingertip equals your height. And for the majority of my math class when I was in college learning to teach math to elementary level students, the professor took us all outside and he said, measure people in your group. We were in groups of 3. And it was true for everybody in the class except me. I was not the norm. My 2 group members measured me. Both of them did, and they came up with the same conclusion. Your arm span is longer than your height. And they told my professor, and he said, oh, you just measured wrong. He measured me and got the same results. And he said, okay, the one exception in the class ever is her. Now, my mom also had to lengthen his sleeves about 2 inches. So apparently I inherited this trait from him. I'm going to blame him. He's the reason. All right. I know that's just a funny story to tell. That's why I've got to recut these cuffs. So I'm just going to make my cuffs about 2.5 inch finished. And these little short cuffs, you can kind of tell, they're coming off. And I'll have a deeper cuff, more traditional looking cuff. The other issue that I have is across the back here. It's just a little snug right in here. And it kind of goes right in here. And I'm thinking now, is that because the sleeves are too short? That maybe it's pulling just in that area and not here, but just here in the back. It's possible. Once I correct this, if that takes care of it, that'll be great because it means I don't have to do anything to change a small area just right in here on the back. Now, I did make some other changes to the garment. The skirt is put together, the front and back skirt pieces, and then you attach them. You're supposed to gather just right here underneath the bust line on each side. I did darts. I did the gathers. I didn't like the gathers. I took the gathers out and did bust darts instead. So I have little bust darts. I think you can kind of see if I manipulate this a different way. Maybe the light will catch it and you can tell. So that's there. Now, I have been thinking about ideas for a second, third, possibly even fourth garment. I love this that much that I'm willing to spend some time in fabric manipulation, heirloom sewing technique, and using 2 different fabrics technique. Okay, let's talk about these. So fabric manipulation. There is one, I'm going to start a picture right here of what I'm talking about. You could do this. I could totally see that all over, then cut it out. The other is just something like this, where you would do these pleats, either have them pressed this way, or you would press them all this toward the center front. That's another idea for fabric manipulation. You could do those. I definitely would get rid of the darts and the gathers. If you do anything to create a different kind of look with your fabric, I would definitely work that part out of your pattern so that you wouldn't have that. It'd just be straight. Same with heirloom sewing, lace insertion, pin tucks, finishing this all off with a lace edging. Definitely would stop my point somewhere in here, not way down there. That could also be done. And again, I would take out the dart or the gathering, whichever you choose to do. I would take that out. The other one that I want to do next spring, I might do a dress version because it would really be nice to have a dress that I could wear to like weddings or special church events or special family gatherings or on a special outing with my husband, special dinner out night where you need to dress up and look a little nicer, is where you would take fabric like a Georgette, printed floral, and I'm going to start a picture here so you can see what I'm talking about, and have a lining that's solid that would complement the Georgette print. The only part that'd be lined would be the body pieces. So there's a top for front and back, there's a bottom for front and back. It'd be held together here and here. I picture the sleeves just being the Georgette, very sheer and have the tiny cuff. For me, that means lengthening the sleeve 2 inches before I do this little tiny cuff. This is my last video for at least 2 weeks, and the reason for that is I am taking a trip with my youngest daughter. Be gone approximately 10 days. I'm not just going to do a trip with just one child. I have 3. So my oldest daughter and I have already begun discussion of where we're going to go next summer. And then I'm going to start discussion with my son as well on selecting places to go. It is something I feel like I should do, something I want to do. And I'm putting the airline fees and the hotel fees and some other fees for this trip because I want to spend individual time with each child while I physically and mentally am able to do so. There's going to come a time when I cannot. In taking care of my mother, I can remember the time, all the fun things that we used to do together, the funny things that we would get ourselves into. We never really took a trip together, but I wish now that we had. I did plan one. She was afraid to get on an airplane. I am not afraid to get on an airplane. I think I'm more afraid of cruise ships than I am of airplanes, which is strange. But I just feel like this is something I need to do. It's on my bucket list, and I'm going to knock each one of them off at a time. So I'm going to be out of the country and just focusing on one child and having loads of laughs and loads of fun and just making memories together. It's important to me. So I will see you when I get back. Happy sewing and happy memories.